Hi all. Um, Someone said to me the other day that, well, they mentioned to me the other day if I was worried that my families would see these videos and obviously, find it upsetting and whatnot. Um, I guess the whole thing is that I've never been able to talk about it. It's been upsetting. I've been, uh, accused of being on drugs when I bring it up. I've been accused of all kinds of things. They don't want to hear it, and they become violent and they become extremely angry. So, um, the one thing I can kind of count on is that these people, everyone, don't want to know the truth about how I feel. They don't want to know the truth about themselves. They want to continue believing a lie. Now, in my own misery and pain and despair, I go back to the old saying, "The truth will set you free." And although I don't think that works out in court for very well for people or talking to the police and things like that, but at the same token, I mean, I can't continue living someone else's bullshit lie um, to make them happy anymore. Uh, in the back of my head, I always knew that my greatest treasure, the only thing I really had was the truth about me, about myself. And, you know, I've had to keep that locked away um, and not utilize it for other people's want to continue living in a dream world and in their own ignorance and this, that, and the other thing. This is kind of the reason I referred to Plato's cave because they're living in this shadow world and they don't see the realities around them. Um, and through my own self education in trying to understand psychology and trying to understand spirituality, in trying to get in touch with my own emotions, I realized this was the reality that I was stuck in this cave with these people, but aware that there was a different world outside of this. And, I realized that I may not get free of this hell I find myself in, because I think when you come to the realization that you're in someone else's experiment, and you become aware someone's experimenting on you against your will and against your best interests and against your well-being, it's very terrifying. And I think that's why a lot of spiritual doctrine and things like that tend towards the analogies, right? Because I mean, imagine waking up while you're being operated on, you know, on your physical body. That's terrifying. And yet, I don't think most people realize that they also have a mental self and mental body, and they have a spiritual self and spiritual body. So at the end of the day, I've moved into working on the mental body. I've tried to reconnect with my spiritual source, so Heavenly Mother and Father. I mean, obviously, a need be. I think we require those archetypes to survive. That there is this, fatherly justice type figure that's strong and orderly, and that makes sense. And we I need that. I need that to survive, as well as a divine mother, which is a nurturer, a comforter, the holder of the unconditional love and those things, because unfortunately, I wasn't provided those things, and I wasn't provided, um, a an understanding of that how that works. I wasn't provided a moral education, so to tell my truth is all I have left. This is I mean, I waited as long as I could. I think I don't know if I mentioned it, but I plan on waiting until my adopted parents died before I was willing to use that treasure and sell that. But um, I can't. Um, this is my last stand, and I'm telling the truth. Um, and where I go from there, and what sort of abuse I have to take for telling the truth, is unknown. But what is the point of life if you cannot face the truth, speak the truth, uh, and pursue the truth? You know, if you go to Jesus, well, he was the truth and the light, and only through his name will you enter into the kingdom of heaven. Well, his name is the truth and the light. So through the truth and through the light, I believe that we can find our way out of the darkness and the pain and the despair and this sort of thing. Um, before I started this video just now, I was watching a music video, and you know, they were all just regular people dancing to, I think it was Fatboy Slim or something like that. And you know, when I was watching it, it was just regular people dancing kind of crazy, and you know, there was something about it that made me like almost weep up a little bit, like this joy that they were expressing, and it reminded me of one of my traumas. And you know, the funny thing about it is that, you know, no one would know that this hurt me so significantly and affected me so significantly. But I was ice skating, and you know, I wasn't a very good skater as a kid, and it was nice of my parents to put me into ice skating to learn how to skate. And when we were skating, and I remember it like it was yesterday, and that's, I mean, that's the terrible tragedy behind trauma, that it's so clear in our minds. But anyways, a song came on. It was "Sweet Dreams" by the Eurythmics, and I mean, it's an amazing song, and you know, I felt it in my body, and I started dancing while I was skating. And you know, I'm a white guy. You know, and I was a white kid, so I don't know how old I was. Probably about maybe 7 or 8 or something like that. And anyways, after the skating session, and we were leaving, my adoptive mother came up beside me and grabbed me harshly by the arm in a painful manner, and then continued to berate me about embarrassing her and making her look like a fool for my dancing. Um, I mean, I really can't say how bad my dancing was. I mean, I was a kid, so I wasn't doing anything, you know, obscene or anything, and I was wearing winter clothes, so I don't know, but I mean, that hurts. And I've always felt very self-conscious about, you know, how I'm making other people look, and how I'm embarrassing these people, um, by being myself. And I think sadly that any functional person would suggest or agree that maybe letting children dance um, might be okay. And if you have a problem with your children dancing, the problem lies with you, and you're a very sick person if you're trying to quell them from joy. Um, so that's just one thing, you know, and there's so much. Um, anyway, so at the end of the situation here, I need to tell my truth. I absolutely need to. And unfortunately, if those people come across these videos and they want to become angry, that's fine. It's the truth. If you're angry about the truth, well, the problem again lies with you, not with me. And you know, I think more than anything, I gave all of these people plenty of opportunity to know what the problems were, to help support me in my problems, to you know, admit their own flaws, because I went through the 12-step program to quit drinking, and I made my amends for things that, in a way, were quite small and petty, and apologize for anything I could possibly think of that I might have done wrong to anyone in my life. Um, there's people that had done far worse, and numerous things they could have apologized for themselves, but most of them took that as an opportunity to reinforce that I was always the problem, nothing to do with them. And unfortunately, in me educating myself, in embracing, um, uh, the higher learning, and embracing the laws of nature, and embracing the grander scheme of things, um, I need to walk away. And if they don't want me, well, they never did. I mean, they never wanted me for me. They wanted me to represent, I don't know, their egos, their sicknesses, they wanted to, project their flaws upon me, and they did. There's silent signals, like, smoking and drinking. Well, when I tried to quit drinking, that was a problem. Well, you're not allowed to quit drinking. You're not better than us. And some of them said that and became violent. Um, at the end of the day, all I have is the truth of what I've experienced, how I felt about it, what I've witnessed, and truth is reality. And if you hate reality, you hate the truth, and vice versa. And I think our world has had enough deception and lies for the sake of how people want to look versus how they are. Um, it's a very, very sick world. Whereas, and keeping in mind too that through my videos, I have tried to defend the fact that these people have a reason to be sick, and that the dysfunction has been passed down, and there's been problems and psychological warfare going on in our nations. Um, so I mean, I've done everything I can to try and let these people know that I don't necessarily blame them, but some of the things they did have caused me significant harm, um, and significant trauma, significant mental disorder, addiction, pain, agony, the whole works. Um, and I mean, it can all go back to social engineering and that sort of thing. But unless these people are willing to admit they've been duped, and they're idiots, and they're slaves to a system they refuse to comprehend, or ignore the realities that are going on around them, and then pretend that they love those around them, when they don't do anything to help them, or to encourage them to change and grow past their station, for fear that they're going to look weak. So I'm certainly coming to a point of view where I can see the elites, um, opinion of the average populace of being useless eaters, and to be controlled by their televisions, and brainwashing, and propaganda, and all that fun stuff, to be controlled with violence, and laws that are to generate income, and a system that's based on deception, and you know people hoarding power and money and things like that. But if we want to live in a better world, if we want to be able to love one another, encourage one another, dance and play, then we are going to have to be brave enough to confront the truths, our truths, confront reality, and educate ourselves in these directions. I mean, it should be common sense that when we have a problem or those we love have a problem, that we educate ourselves in that direction and try and fix it. Unfortunately, we've been duped into thinking that we have to go to a doctor to tell us how to fix it, or we have to go, to the government or these other people, and they'll tell us, what's wrong and how to fix it. And unfortunately, the answer tends to be drugs, um, and misinformation, and the information is available now on the internet. The information has been available in libraries. So, as far as my adoptive mother coming to find out that these are my true feelings, well, good, you know. And if you want to, and if anyone wants to, disagree with what I'm saying, that's their prerogative. But educate yourself first, because I'm sick of trying to, justify my existence to people who can't open a book to see that what I'm saying is true, and and they're on the side of falseness. So, I mean, there was so much more I wanted to say, and I've got to get back in the habit of writing, but I think the day is coming when I'm going to have to learn to write again, and learn to get my thoughts into a coherent um, understanding. But in telling the truth, it becomes easier and easier to face those thoughts that I used alcohol to drown because they were so painful to deal with. Um, and through growth, I've definitely have been able to start building my own foundation, and realizing that I have a very, very valid opinion. I have firsthand experience of the adoption industry. I have firsthand experience of the pharmaceutical drug industry, big tobacco, alcohol, the whole works. I've really gotten to get a front stage view of what's going on in our Western culture, and I guess it's the people at the front of the stage that quite often get crushed. And, I think that's probably where I'm at now. And I hope I do survive all this. And I hope I can overcome the sense of despair and disconnectedness I feel from the world. So, anyways, I hope this puts things in perspective. And again, if some of my adoptive family come across my videos, well, now you can just simply face reality that you can talk about things, and if you would have talked about these things, then perhaps we could have resolved it within the family, but that would have meant that we had a functional family, and we did not. And they're gonna have to face that. um, I mean, lack of education, lack of IQ, all sorts of crazy things, but at no point was I provided a nurturing place to grow. And only now am I finding that I'm going to have to find a way to nurture myself and grow myself with the help of giants that came before us that have left us the information we need to go through our own psychoanalysis, go through our own spiritual growth and revelation and enlightenment. And I want that for everyone. If the world was a more enlightened, kinder, honester place, well, we can only dream. But um, I have known hell, and very deep hells, and they exist. You can be an atheist if you want, but hell and heaven exist on earth, whether or not you want to admit it or not. And they exist on the mental plane and on the spiritual plane. So you know dig yourself out of your own shit. Thanks. Bye.